In the world of crime fiction, every once in a while, a novel comes that feels like a breath of fresh air. And Subhobroto Mazumdar's The Affair of Baxiganj is exactly that. With its small town charm, gripping suspense, and a touch of nostalgia from the 80s and 90s, the story pulls reader into a tangled web of secrets and intrigue. But what exactly sets apart is Mozumdar's unique background in geology, which brings an unexpected layer of depth and insight into the mystery. Today, I am thrilled to sit down with Subhobroto Mazumder, the man behind this captivating tale, to talk about what inspired him to dive into the world of crime fiction, how his scientific expertise have shaped the story, and what it was to create a town where secrets are as common as a cup of tea or a coffee. So join me as we explore the journey behind the affairs of Baxiganj and get to know the author who's making waves in the crime thriller genre. Hello, book nerds. Welcome to the Booknerds Author Agency Podcast. And this is your host, Sabir. Before we start, let me give you a quick tour on what Booknerds Author Agency is all about. So basically, we are a book marketing and author branding agency. We have been featured in top book marketing companies in India, and we have effectively served around 250 authors and helped them in various ways. Welcome, Subhobroto bhai.
Thank you.
So let's get directly into the question and answer mode. I hope you have read the reviews which your book has been getting, and the reviews are fantastic. And I have also read the book, and trust me, this kind of book comes after a lot of time which passes by, and whatever you have done is a fantastic.
Thank you so
So,
much.
Subrandawai, just tell me that the town in which the story all happens, okay, Baxiganj, is a lively and a mysterious town which has a personality of its own. So, what gave you to create a setting like that? And did your expertise in the field of geology have any influence on the environment that you have created in the town?
Yeah. So, firstly, the name Baxiganj I picked out from a poem from Rabindranath Tagore.
Okay.
Now, actually, I've been reading a lot of books of Ruskin Bond. So, there he had, his plot includes a lot of such small towns like Deoli, Samli, Pipalnagar, Foresterganj. So, I wanted to imitate him and write something like this.
Okay.
So, what this small town does is basically it will give you advantage of space as well as unfamiliarity. So there you can space your events, place your events, and then you can just whatever you want to describe the events, how to describe the events, you get adequate, you can say, and a very adequate space for those to build up a story. So that
Yeah.
is one of the aspects why I chose Baxiganj, a remote town like Baxiganj,
Yeah.
for the setting of my story. And secondly, the last part of your question, I am a geologist and I had to do a lot of field work during my student days as well as as a part of my job. So I had to go to these remote locations. I had to stay there and work. So this is one of those small towns I had seen. I had seen the settings, I had felt them. So I found that if I imbibe all those things in my story,
Yeah.
they would be perfect for setting for my story. That's why I use those small town. You can say the unfamiliarity of that story of that the small town gives a sense of mystery. That's why I chose them.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And Subhobroto, when I was reading the book, I just loved how you blended the 80s and 90s nostalgia into this very fast-paced crime thriller. Okay, so how did you strike that balance while keeping the story gripping? Was it like tricky to weave these two elements together?
Not exactly tricky. I
Okay.
mean, what I intended to do is that I had grown in this phase of 80s and 90s. So I wanted to by readers who had also grown up in on those phases to fill those parts. I wanted to create a sense of nostalgia.
Well,
So I had an initial hook in the story, but I thought that it does when after the initial hook, I wanted something to keep the readers together. I mean, as a part of the story.
Well,
So I tried to use this nostalgia part to stick the story together and the readers to the story, so that people would be more involved in the story. They would feel themselves involved. They would identify themselves. And as the story moves on, they will also move along with the story. That's why I took up those 80s and 90s parts and put in the story.
great. Another thing, what I read after a very long time is the multiple first-person perspective with the book.
Yeah.
Okay. If I remember, long time ago, I have read something like this in Mrityunjay by Shivaji Sawant in Marathi. Okay, and this approach is completely this approach on a narrative style is completely different. Okay, so
Right.
what made you choose this narrative style, and did any of your characters surprise you as you wrote their individual stories? So what was going in your mind at that point of time?
So this multiple first-person narrative that you have just told about was just, it was an experiment for me.
Right.
So I found out that if I use those things, that part, the characters, I would have more. I mean, the characters would be more evolved. They would be. I mean, we can focus on the characters more. And secondly, this story is a suspense story. So as I delve into those characters separately as a multiple first-person narrative, so this will be adding one more variable to the mystery.
Okay.
And you can just whatever they are their character personalities, they will be adding one more layer to the suspense of the story. They will have some backstory. People will
Right.
be interested in that, and they will be interested in other person's stories also. So it will keep the reader captivated to them. So
Yeah.
that's why I used it. And
Okay.
as we moved along, I found out that as the characters, characters develop further, so I tried to add more and more layers to the story.
Got it.
So at one person, at one point of time, one of the characters I trying to develop them. I had to add more and more things. So
Right.
this was at some point I thought that maybe this character is too more developed, so I had to add more things to the other character to balance it off.
Yeah.
So this was one thing that I had to take care of. Yes, I mean, I found that it was very helpful for the story part. That's why.
Yeah. You're right.
So Subhobroto, the book covers a lot of themes like trust, betrayal, perception, which are basically standing out in the book. So were these ideas something which you had in your mind before the start of the writing process, or did they evolve naturally as the story unfolded and as you wrote it down?
No, actually, this story was initially, it had a linear flow. It was supposed to be just a murder thriller. But
Okay.
as those characters developed, I found that we need something more to balance the stories.
Perfect.
So this theme of this betrayal came in later, and it added more depth to the story. That's why, I mean, you find those things there.
There.
So just use that.
So Subhobroto, with your background in geology, okay, did you find any parallels between solving real world puzzles which you do on a daily basis and and crafting the intricate plot of the crime thriller? And the next question to this would be, how much of your scientific mindset influenced the twist and turns in the story?
Yeah, when I create a sort of mystery type of setting, I have to analyze it, and then I have to give a proper ending to it, conclusion
Right.
to it. So, as a part of the science I am studying, geology, it also behaves in a similar way. I mean, it has a sort of setting where you have to first go to the site, you have to analyze that, and then you end up in a conclusion where you have to everything fits in.
Right.
So it has almost a similar type of setting.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that helped me, a scientific sort of, approach.
Right.
And the next part of that is the story is that a lot of things that I've done I've seen in the office, I have
Okay.
tried to put in the story. I mean,
Great.
for example, there is something about the maps. There is something about the field work.
Right.
So these are all a part of my work.
Right.
I
Right.
just took something from my experiences and then put it in the story.
Right.
So
Right.
the
Right.
story was just extended part of my, I can say, career as a geologist.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, Subhobroto, when I was reading the book, the characters were very relatable, and it felt like the characters are in front of my eyes. But somewhere I felt that the backstories of those characters are a bit mysterious. Okay, how did
Right.
you decide to reveal about the characters' past and how to keep certain things hidden? Was there a moment when you were held back on purpose to add more suspense to it, or how did that happen?
So when I was writing the story and developing the characters, uh, I took a lot of help. I mean, I can say people who were around me, my friends. I took a lot of their traits and then put in the
Right.
story. I mean, to develop them, a mixture of all their traits, and then try to put them everything in a character, and then put that, and then develop them. So since as the character develops, I needed backstories of all of them.
Right.
So I tried to develop them. But then when I gave the story to someone to read, he pointed out that you should not reveal everything to the reader.
That's it.
Let the reader think himself or herself, and so that they can figure out more about the characters. So at some point, I left out some parts. I mean, I deliberately did that so that
Yes.
so that reader can figure out himself or herself what happened. They can be a part of the story. They can just realize, or they can just you can say interpret that missing part and then put it inside, so that the
Right.
reader will be getting a chance to be a part of the story himself or herself.
Right. Right. So basically, as a reader, you have to read in between the lines to understand more
Right.
about the characters which are there in the story.
Right.
Right. Right. Right. So the story has a lot of moments of humor, okay, which basically adds a lot of charm to the story, which is suspenseful in nature. So, how important is humor to you when writing, especially in a genre which is usually more serious?
Yes, that is the. I mean, you can say that the humor is the baseline on which everything is based here.
Right.
It tries to stick the whole story together. So the story here, except for the suspense in it, is based on two sticky things that holds the story together. One is the nostalgia part, and
Right.
the other is the humor.
Yes.
So both these parts I have used in some amount, or you can say a lot of that to so that as you read along, the story does not get boring, or the reader does not just think that, okay, I will skip this paragraph, I will go on the next paragraph and then again read it.
Perfect.
So I did not want that to happen.
Yeah.
So I used humor as well as nostalgia to hold that reader to the story, so that he does not feel bored or make the story more predictable, sort of thing.
Right.
That's why I use that part.
It's a wonderful amalgamation, and the story has come out really well.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. My
Yeah.
first attempt. So
Certainly. So, Subhobroto, when I was reading the book, frankly speaking, I did it in just one sitting. Okay, it's a perfectly something binge watching जो हम लोग बोलते हैं. So this is binge read. Okay, so
Right.
how did you come to this shorter, fast-paced novel, and how do you feel about writing something longer, or are you planning to do something which is a bit longer in nature, or what are the things which are coming up next from your kitty?
So presently, I was thinking of writing a collection of short stories.
Great.
So they will be of different. I mean, again, humor will be a part of all of that.
Right.
So I was trying to come up, or I can. It's not finished, but just a collection of short stories which will be of different episodes of someone's life. The characters will be same as that in the story,
Okay.
So people who had read the first story can also be a part of the second story of the second book as well.
Right.
So that's why I wanted some sort of continuity.
Okay.
So that is the next thing I'm working on.
Okay.
So I wanted the story to be this short because I wanted people to finish it in a particular setting. In a setting means as you travel from one place to another.
Right.
Or as you just one weekend you will be taking to finish the story. So I want my book to be like that. It's short, but you can say entertaining as well as funny.
Great. So when now you are a first-time author, okay?
Right.
And the kind of success which you are getting is phenomenal. Okay.
Thank you.
So there are not many upcoming authors or people who are writing their stuff. So do you have any message for them?
Message in the sense that, okay, people who write may write something which tries to keep the author hooked to the book. Something in terms of suspense or humor, or something that he feels that the reader will be included or inclusive of the story. Not feels separate from the book. He will or she will be a part of the part of the book, the story. So I want to the new writer or authors to develop something which will be which help the reader to be a part of the story.
And Subhobroto, when you were coming up with the writing part, okay, was it that something you had a fixed schedule or how did that happen? Like सुबह 8 बजे से लेके रात को 10 बजे तक काम करना है, उसके बाद में 12 बजे से लेके रात के 2 बजे तक नॉवेल पे काम करना है. How did that happen to you?
So it was almost like that because it was from 8 to almost evening 8 o'clock. I returned from office around 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Then more or less the housework, it takes around 3 hours or 4 hours to 12 o'clock. So whatever I write was almost in after 12 or something like that. And then in weekends I got some time.
Okay.
So I tried to write more. So it was not a single attempt. Once I came up with something, then I went through the entire process again. Found some parts which I did not like so much, changed them, and then came up with a new version. So it was an iterative process.
Right.
Again, it was, I could not work in the daytime, so I have to work it in the night. So it was like that.
Great. So Subhobroto, that brings me to the last question of this podcast. I believe as a writer, you must be a reader first.
Right.
So what are the kind of books you read or something which you are reading right now? And do you have any recommendations to give out to our listeners and viewers?
So, yes, I am a reader. I finish books, almost one book in a week or something like that.
Right.
So, the books I love to read was, you can say, there's a book called Catch-22.
Yeah.
It's by Joseph Heller. So, again, as you read it, you can feel the humor in it, which, is one of the main things that holds the story together.
Great.
There are a lot of other things, other aspects of everything in the book, but that was one part that I liked the most in the book.
Right.
Another book I liked was Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Great.
Third one, you can say Lowlands by Jhumpa Lahiri.
Right.
And last book I read, one of the books I read that I liked very much is The Silent Patient.
Okay.
It was a psychological thriller.
Right.
So you can just again finish the entire book in one sitting. So you can say it holds the book together. The reader together, and the reader just can't step out of the book. So I wanted to write like that book, but that's what I came up with.
I am certainly sure that the next book which will be coming out from your end will have something from all the books recommended by you. So thank you, Subhobroto, for joining me and letting the viewers and the readers understand whole thing which went into the writing process. Thank you very much for joining in.
Thank you. Thank you.